Chelsea Manning, an ex-Army soldier convicted of leaking a trove of secret U.S. documents, is set to be released from prison on May 17, about 4 months after former President Obama drastically shortened her sentence just before he left office. The former intelligence analyst was convicted of espionage after admitting to illegally sending hundreds of thousands of classified documents to WikiLeaks. She received a 35-year prison sentence in 2013 and came out as a transgender woman shortly afterward. Manning has been counting down the days until her freedom after serving more than a half-dozen years behind bars, where she has twice attempted suicide. "For the first time, I can see a future for myself as Chelsea," she wrote in a statement ahead of her release. "I can imagine surviving and living as the person who I am and can finally be in the outside world." Here's what you need to know about the whistleblower's saga. Who is she? Chelsea Manning was an intelligence analyst for the U.S. Army when she disclosed more than 700,000 confidential military and diplomatic documents while serving in Iraq in 2010, according to the Associated Press. The Oklahoma-born Manning wrote in an op-ed published by the New York Times in 2014 that her decision to do so stemmed from a love for her country and a sense of duty to others. Manning said she was trying to offer more transparency about America's involvement with Iraq, particularly in regards to the country's elections. She said media reports painted a picture at odds with reality due to limits the U.S. placed on American journalists. Manning joined the Army in 2007 and was deployed to Iraq about 2 years later. What happened after the leak? Manning was arrested in 2010 and admitted her actions were illegal. She was convicted and sentenced in 2013 for Espionage Act violations and other offenses related to the massive leak, according to the AP. That year, she came out as a transgender woman at a men's prison at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. She sued the Department of Defense in 2014, with help from the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, claiming the federal agency was refusing to give her medical treatment for her gender dysphoria. Manning said the lack of care drove her to try to commit suicide at least twice and prompted her to go on a hunger strike. The Department of Defense granted Manning hormone treatment in 2015, the AP reports. Last September, Manning said the military told her it would be moving forward with honoring her request for gender reassignment surgery, allowing her to see a surgeon. Manning tried to commit suicide a month later while in solitary confinement, a punishment imposed after her first suicide attempt in July, according to the Times. Why is she being released early? The 29-year-old Manning gets to leave prison almost 3 decades before her sentence is up because Obama in January commuted her sentence to end on May 17. More than 100,000 people have called for the presidential commutation in a White House online petition. Manning had also pleaded for leniency from Obama, writing in a Medium post last year that she was merely asking for a first chance to live my life outside the prison, as the person I was born to be. Manning's attorney at the ACLU said Obama's decision no doubt saved Manning's life. Delays in her treatment were breaking her, and they likely would have killed her, Chase Stranio, an attorney with the ACLU's LGBT and AIDS project, said in a statement. Instead of certain death, it will be a chance at life, Stranio said. While her conviction is being appealed, Manning will remain on active duty after her release, which makes her eligible for health coverage, but not pay, Army spokesman Dave Foster told USA Today. Manning has become an advocate for free speech, transparency and LGBT rights. In an Amnesty International podcast, written by Manning but voiced by transgender actor Michelle Hendley, Manning expressed hope of one day being able to help others like herself outside of prison. I feel like I've been stored away for all this time without a voice, she said in the message. I feel like there's so much of a contribution to society that I could be making. I spend every day looking forward to the hope that one day I can give that a go. Manning has appeared to be in good spirits while anticipating a return to normalcy. The nightmare will end soon. she tweeted last month. Never stop dreaming. Chelsea Manning's Welsh mother has spoken of her pride for the WikiLeaks whistleblower before her release from prison. The former intelligence analyst is due to leave a military jail on Wednesday, after serving 7 years of a 35-year sentence for leaking hundreds of thousands of classified U.S. government documents. Susan Manning said she is delighted her daughter, 29, will eventually be free to fulfill her aspirations, although she has concerns over how she will fare outside prison. Barack Obama commuted the transgender soldier's sentence in his final days in the White House, outraging Republicans including Donald Trump, who described her as an ungrateful traitor. Preparing for her release, Manning's Welsh-Irish family said the sentence had been a travesty of justice. Mrs. Manning said, "I am so proud of Chelsea and delighted she will finally be free again. It is going to be very hard for her to readjust after so long inside the prison's four walls, and I'm happy she will be staying in Maryland where she has family to look out for her. Chelsea is so intelligent and talented. I hope she now has the chance to go to college to complete her studies, and to do and be whatever she wants. My message to Chelsea? 2 words, go, girl." In her first statement since receiving clemency, Manning said on Tuesday that she hopes to use the lessons she received in prison to help others. She added, "I can imagine surviving and living as the person who I am and can finally be in the outside world. Freedom used to be something that I dreamed of but never allowed myself to fully imagine." Manning was arrested in 2010 and convicted in 2013 of 6 violations of the U.S.'s Espionage Act for leaking 700,000 secret military and State Department documents to WikiLeaks. The trove, which included classified battlefield videos, was one of the biggest breaches of intelligence in U.S. history. She acknowledged leaking the files while working in Iraq, but protested that she had acted to raise awareness of the impact of U.S. military action on innocent civilians. Then known as Private Bradley Manning, she later underwent gender transition while in jail and in 2016 made 2 attempts to take her own life, citing ill treatment behind bars. She is currently being held at a correctional facility at Fort Leavenworth, a U.S. Army disciplinary barracks in Kansas. Manning, whose father is American, was born in Oklahoma in the U.S. but moved to Haverford West in Pembrokeshire just before she turned 14 in 2001 following her parents' divorce. She attended Tascommelwood Comprehensive School and still has family and friends in the area. In a statement, her Welsh-Irish relatives said Manning had endured 7 years loss of liberty for her whistleblowing actions, while those whose wrongdoing she exposed have gone unpunished. The shocking and abusive ill-treatment Chelsea was subjected to in Kuwait and U.S. Marine Base, Quantico before the trial should never have happened, and the 35-year sentence handed down by the military court was a travesty of justice. We are naturally very relieved that this ordeal will soon be over for Chelsea and that she will be able to take up her place in society again. Whatever she decides to do, we are sure she will make a significant and positive contribution. Army whistleblower Chelsea Manning is set to walk out of prison Wednesday, but she won't be entirely free. Manning's 35-year sentence for leaking an enormous trove of military intelligence records was commuted by President Barack Obama in January. But Manning is still appealing her conviction in a case that could take years, and the government has yet to respond to the appeal. And all the while, Private First Class Manning, 29, will remain an active duty soldier in the U.S. Army. She won't be paid a salary, and it's highly unlikely that she will be called to serve. But being placed on voluntary excess leave rather than discharged, says one of her attorneys, makes her vulnerable to new military punishment or charges if she steps out of line. Chelsea is still subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ. David Coombs, Manning's military defense counsel, told NBC News. She wouldn't be charged again for the same offenses, but if she committed a new crime, the military would still have jurisdiction over her. Such an offense could be anything from getting into a fistfight to revealing previously unreleased classified information. Manning could even get into trouble with the military for speaking and writing. "You would want to be careful in terms of what you want to write or say if you're still under military control," said Coombs, who last spoke with Manning in February. "Let's say you write something critical, now you run the real chance of being called on the carpet for that." The Army private then known as Bradley Manning was just 22-year-old when she leaked nearly 750,000 military files and cables to WikiLeaks. Manning was court-martialed and sentenced in 2013 to 35 years in prison, with opportunity for parole after 7 years served. In a statement given to the Today Show the day after sentencing, Manning came out as a transgender woman. Last Tuesday, in Manning's first official statement about her plans after prison, she said, "I can see a future for myself as Chelsea." Manning's ACLU attorney and transgender advocate, Chase Stranio, told NBC News that the current focus is on building her life once she steps out of prison. She is looking forward to eating pizza, swimming, playing PlayStation and meeting the many friends who have supported her over the years but who were never allowed to visit in person, said Stranio, who has become Manning's close confidant and conduit to the LGBT community. Beyond that, she is waiting to experience life outside of prison before declaring any future plans, Stranio said. After so many years of government control over her body and gender, I know she is eager to grow her hair, express her gender and negotiate decisions on her own terms. Obama commuted Manning's sentence after her clemency and appellate attorneys, Nancy Hollander and Vincent Ward, applied for clemency twice. They also appealed Manning's conviction in May 2016, arguing that the sentence was unfairly harsh, that evidence for some of the charges was insufficient, and that solitary confinement was exacerbating struggles with mental health that Manning had in prison.